The KAR98K from Modern Warfare, or the Pelington from Cold War, which is the best sniper rifle for Warzone? This video is going to break down the stats for both guns, comparing them to let you know which one is the best. If you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns, weapon comparisons, and any other content regarding Cold War as well as Warzone Season 1, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Both of these guns are fast action sniper rifles that we want to be using for aggressive sniper play, and that is why we're comparing them in this video. Before we break down all of the stats, the first thing we need to show you is the class setups we use to compare both of these guns. On the screen now, you'll see the best class setup for both of these guns. On the screen now, you'll see the best class setup for the KAR98K. I don't want to spend too much time on this, everyone knows what the class setup is like for the car. And next we have the class setup for the Pelington. Now you want to use the wrap suppressor for faster bullet velocity. Now it doesn't state that in game, but it does give you a bit of a boost to your bullet velocity, which also suppresses your weapon. You then want to use the combat recon barrel, and this gives you only a bonus to your bullet velocity, but it gives you the best bonus to your bullet velocity, so this is definitely the barrel you should be using for the Pelington. Then we use the fast loader, and in this attachment slot I would recommend using nothing that hurts your aim down sight time. It's very important that you have the quickest aim down sight time possible, especially when comparing it to the KAR98. Then we use the jungle grip, which again helps with flinch resistance as well as aim down sight time. And lastly, we use the infiltrator grip. Now in this slot you would usually choose an attachment that helps with idle sway or aim down sight time, but there's no other attachments that could help in this case, so we just chose any attachment that doesn't give any cons. Taking a look at the stats for both guns, we have the KAR on the left, the Pelington on the right. In terms of headshot damage, they're both exactly the same because it's going to be a one-hit headshot kill at any distance. Now up close, the KAR actually does more damage than the sniper rifles, which is pretty weird, but it does do more damage. So it's a 2-shot kill up close, and after 93 meters, it's then a 3-shot kill. And that is if you're landing all chest shots. With the Pelington, it's got the sniper damage, so it's going to be a 3-shot kill at all distances. The rate of fire on the Pelington is slightly faster than the KAR98K, which is definitely quite good to see, because the KAR is one of the fastest firing sniper rifles in the game. In terms of time to kill, if you get headshots only with these guns, it's going to be a 0 millisecond time to kill, but that involves a lot of skill to land headshots constantly. So if you land body shots only, the time to kill for the KAR98 is 1364, then that drops off down to 2727. For the Pelington, as it's always a 3-shot kill, it's going to be 2307 milliseconds at any range when you're using that 3-shot kill. For the KAR98, the damage drops off at around about 93 meters. For the Pelington, from what we were able to test, now this is not going to be 100% accurate, we were testing in the trials game mode with moving bots, so this is going to be around about 100 meters. Now it was slightly over 100 meters from what we tested, but regardless, the damage will drop off after 100 meters anyway. With the weapons maxed out with attachments, we can see the KAR98 has the faster aim down sight speed at 399 milliseconds. The Pelington is not too far off, but it's still slower than the KAR98. Now for the base KAR98, you start off with 5 bullets in a magazine, and same for the Pelington as well. Now if you do use this class setup, the magazine size for the Pelington drops down to 4. But the reason I've given the base magazine size on screen here is so we can check the base reload times. So for the KAR98 it's 3.58 seconds, and for the Pelington is 4.9 seconds, which is almost 1 second per bullet that gets loaded into the gun. So the KAR is definitely significantly faster. At a distance of 465 meters, we were able to test the bullet velocity for the Pelington to be around 1010 meters per second, whereas the KAR98 has a bullet velocity of 1048 meters per second. So actually the KAR98 has faster bullet velocity. Personally, at this point, I do think it is pretty close, but if you're talking about aggressive sniping, the KAR98 has the faster time to kill at close range. Not only that, it has a faster aim down sight time, so if you find yourself sniping within those close range distances, the KAR98 seems to be the best option here. Not only that, I feel like it's very noticeable with the bullet velocity of the Pelington, especially when you're using the base gun. It seems like there's no hit detection whatsoever, and there's shots where I feel like I would have landed with a KAR98 that I actually can't hit with a Pelington. Now when you're at a distance, it's not so much of a big issue because you can fire again and take off another shot, But if you're aggressive sniping, you want your sniper rifle to be very consistent, and the Pelington is just not consistent enough for me. Another important thing we need to consider is bullet drop with both of these guns. So as you can see on the screen here, the distance is 465 meters once again, and we're firing at the top of the ATC tower and seeing where the bullet lands just below that. Firstly, you'll see the Pelington, and then next what you'll see is the KAR98. And at the end, what I'll show you is actually a comparison as well between the two guns and where the bullet actually lands on the ATC tower. What bullet velocity and bullet drop shows with a sniper rifle is how high above an enemy's head you would need to aim to get a headshot, or to land any shot for that matter. You can see now the side-by-side comparison between the KAR98 and the Pelington, and what this shows is that the bullet velocity for both of these guns is probably very similar, because when you're aiming at the top of the ACT tower, both of the bullets are going to impact at almost exactly the same place, and what that means is the bullet velocities as well as the bullet drop for both of these guns are going to be very similar. Bullet velocity and bullet drop are more important at a distance, but if you're aggressive playing with sniper rifles, it shouldn't be too noticeable. It would probably be quite interesting to compare the Pelington against a HDR, for example, to see what the bullet velocity would be like against that. Maybe the HDR would hit the top of the ATC tower when you're aiming at it, but we don't know yet. We're only comparing these two guns. Bullet drop and bullet velocity is not the only thing you need to consider when sniping at a distance. You also need to consider the idle sway of these sniper rifles, as this is going to play a huge factor in whether or not you're going to be landing your shots. So what you'll see on the screen here now is the idle sway for both the Pelington, which is on the left, and the KAR98, which is on the right. We're aiming at quite a far distance just to make sure this is very noticeable, and I've also zoomed in a bit with the KAR98 optics just to make sure you can see how this is moving around that window that we're looking at. Overall, I think it's pretty clear that the Pelington has the better idle sway out of both of these guns. Now maybe this makes some kind of sense because you're more likely to use a Pelington at longer distance shooting because it is in the sniper rifle category, whereas opposed to the KAR98 that's in the marksman rifle category. But that's just another one of those things in this game that doesn't really make any sense, and I don't think it really matters either. But like I said, the Pelington has better idle sway overall. The last thing I find important with sniper rifles is the optics you have available to use. We're only going to look at the sniper optics for both of these guns. They do have other options like red dot sights, but we're not going to focus on that. So we can see the base optic for the Pelington on the screen here. Now it doesn't actually state what zoom level you get with this, but it seems to be like a 5x zoom or maybe a 6x zoom. Overall, it is a clean optic anyway, and you can change the reticle that is available for it too. But if you are using it for aggressive sniping, it's a good option. Next we have the Hangman 6x for the Pelington. Now not only is this a 6x optic, but it also tells you the distance either an enemy or an object is away from you, which can be really helpful, especially inside Warzone if you don't really know how far away an enemy is and you can judge your shot based on that. But I feel like you could ping an enemy anyway just to know their distance, so it doesn't really matter too much. Lastly, we have one of the best optics for the Pelington, which is the ultra zoom. Now this goes from a 2x optical zoom all the way up to a 20x optical zoom, and you can vary anywhere in between that range as well. Unlike the Modern Warfare optics, you can only choose between two different levels. This one you can actually zoom all the way in and pick your distance, or go all the way out, so you got a lot of options here. Some players do find it useful to have this level of zoom, so for those kind of players this could be a really good option. Moving over into the KAR98, we have the sniper scope. Now this gun starts with iron sights because it is a marksman rifle. You then need to equip the sniper scope as one of your attachments, and this is a 7x optic, and this is my favourite optic for the KAR98. I feel like it gives you a little bit faster aim down sight time, and also you don't need to mess about and by mistake hit that extra zoom level that you don't really need. Speaking of the zoom level that you don't really need, we then have the variable zoom scope. A lot of people do like this because you can zoom in up to 8x. It allows you to see slightly further than the 7x optic when you zoom in, but also gives you a close range option for 3.5x. And this can be extremely handy if you're going to be aggressive sniping with this gun, and then also going to be using it for long range as well. But personally, I like to have my zoom level set at 1 and then just get used to using it at all different ranges. But like I said, some players might just like having the option. So overall, I feel like we've covered a lot in this video, but just to summarize a few key points, in terms of time to kill at close range, the KAR98 is the better option. In terms of idle sway, the Pelington is the better option. In terms of overall bullet velocity, both guns are very similar and bullet drop is going to be similar too. And lastly, in terms of options for optics, I do feel like the Cold War option for the Pelington is definitely much better. All of the optics do different things and therefore you get a lot of options there. So should you swap out your KAR98 for the Pelington? Now you could do it, but personally I still prefer the KAR98, so if you were going to swap it, you definitely need to be comfortable using the Pelington, but overall I still think the KAR98 is a better aggressive sniper than the Pelington at the moment. Even reload times and aim down sight times are slightly quicker with the KAR98 than they are with the Pelington. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a like as it helps us get recommended more, and if you enjoy in-depth breakdowns like this and you want to see more content like this comparing maybe the Tundra and the HDR for example, then subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on content like that, and thank you very much for watching.